The vast majority of my life has been spent as a creative freelancer and business owner, interspersed with some staff positions. It's been a life of constant reinvention, and if anything, those reinvention cycles are happening faster and faster. It's hard to tell any freelancer that there's a clear path they should take, but maybe there's something to be learned from mine, so I'd like to share that with you today. And as I'm thinking back, there definitely have been some important lessons learned. This is the camera I use today in my video production company. It's a Canon cinema camera, and on every job it's accompanied by a bunch of different lenses, microphones, lights, and tripods. But my very first camera when I was a young boy was this. My family's Bell & Howell 8mm film camera. The film was loaded in here in the dark, and then we'd drop it off at the drugstore for developing. 2 weeks later, we'd pick up the shaky, grainy 3-minute movie we'd made, and it was absolutely magical to a 5th grader. By high school, I had my first 35mm Nikon camera in a home darkroom, and also my first job in photography at our small-town portrait and wedding photography studio at the top of this second-story walk-up on Main Street. After high school, I left West Virginia for Cincinnati, where there were opportunities to assist and apprentice with accomplished commercial photographers. By 21, I felt like I was on the front lines, watching talented photographers create work for national and international clients. In a few years, I was working as a product photographer myself, largely working under the dark cloth of a large format film camera like this. In the 90s came another career switch, this time 180 degrees from the studio. Motorsports photography, where I photographed motorcycles in action for advertisers and magazines around the world. Sometimes, in order to photograph the stories I wanted, I also had to become a writer. So, not only was I telling stories visually, I began telling stories with words also. The 2000s found me back in a great studio partnership, sharing a 4,000 square foot production studio. We had a small staff, and these were fun, creative times as digital photography was emerging and online content was becoming more sophisticated. It also presented an opportunity to dive back into filmmaking and to learn more about audio recording. Circumstances then led me to a staff position at an international nonprofit in the arts where I held different titles, including Director of New Media and then on to Director of Technology and Strategic Initiatives. I eventually left that position because I wanted to hold a camera again, to be a full-time content creator. But the incredible lessons learned about strategy and project management were invaluable, and I apply them to every job today. And that's why you see Talkington Media labeled as a strategy-first video production company. Which brings us to the present, where Talkington Media is approaching a 5-year anniversary, and I'm about to enter another decade as a freelance content creator. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world, and it definitely feels like another time of reinvention. Looking back at the evolution of my personal freelance survival, it would be easy to think the different paths I chose simply came down to personal decisions. But as I can see now, it's clear there was more to it than just that. Economic and technological disruptions influenced my decisions too. Since I started my career, there have been energy and oil crises, the burst of the dot-com bubble, 9/11, the rapid development of digital and web technologies, the Great Recession. It isn't coincidental that my career was affected by those also. So, looking back at all of that, what themes or prominent lessons do I see? First and foremost, I see gratitude. Gratitude for the people who gave me those initial opportunities, for the people who have worked for and with me, and for the people who continue giving me opportunities. So thank you. That's number one. Number two, a thirst for learning. We use the word adapt and evolve a lot, and that's essential. But as the world becomes more and more competitive, I think it's a genuine thirst for learning that's gotten me through the challenging times. I don't know if it would have been enough for me to just adapt. And especially for creatives, honesty, being genuine, both with yourself and with others. I think all types of work require a compromise of some sort, and that's understood. But recognize when you're off track, or if you're compromising your honesty or your core beliefs just for short-term gain, because it isn't sustainable. And then start plotting a path back to finding yourself. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video, and as always, I hope it's been a help or at least provoked some thought. Feel free to connect with me here on social media or at talkingtonmedia.com, and I'll see you in the next video.